Good morning, greetings, friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I specialize in using nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and often deadly medical procedures. Suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your vitality and health and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin. You have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body. You are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health issue. That's why we're here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up these sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 29 years of practicing pharmacy, I've seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle. But what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is always a healing, regenerating, renewing system designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that healing and renewing system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you're dealing with a health challenge, let us help you change your life today. Give us a call, 844-236-6010. We want to hear from you. If you're dealing with arthritis, osteoporosis, God forbid cancer, skin diseases, health issues, if you have questions about nutritional supplementation, the longevity products, 844-236-6010 is our number today. And every day on The Bright Side, you can also purchase any of the longevity products that you hear advertised on the program by calling the Bright Side Ben phone team at 866-735-2470, or you can head over to brightsideben.com, criticalhealthnews.com, or pharmacistben.com and order products right off the website. You can also sign up to join the Bright Side Ben team right off the websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. And if you want to purchase any of our Truth Treatment products, including our Retinol 5% gel made with fat-soluble vitamin C and our transdermal delivery matrix, no preservatives, no fragrances, no nothing that your skin doesn't need, just the active and functional ingredients, retinol, vitamin C, and our transdermal delivery matrix. You can find out all about it at truthtreatments.com. I've got blog posts up there as well on various skincare topics. And you can also check out my Facebook page, The Truth with Ben, which we post on as well, The Truth with Ben. And if you're trying to Facebook me on my personal page, I don't really check that all that often. Okay. So we were talking about the fatty part of the body. We're talking fat processing as opposed to water processing, or the watery compartments. The body is made up of two major compartments, fats and water. The body's 60% water or 70% water in some places. But it's water that's trapped in a matrix of fats. And it's this kind of interaction between fats and water that create the human body. In a simplified kind of way, the watery component of the body, the watery compartment of the body, provides the electrical energy. It sparks the body into action. This is one reason why we feel tired in the morning. We've lost our water-soluble nutrients. If you've gone to the bathroom once or twice, if you've urinated once or twice in the middle of the night, where do you think your B vitamins are going to go? They're coming out of your body. Same with your electrolytes. Electrolytes as an electrical energy. There's so many ways you can exploit these electrolytes and B vitamins. One of the best ways is to use your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That's the coolest thing about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. There's a lot of cool things about it. But the coolest thing is it's liquid electrolytes and liquid B vitamins, liquid electrical nutrients. So the watery part of the body sparks things into action. It's also the watery part of the body is also kind of a unifying element. It pulls everything together in solution. Water is said to be the universal solvent. It pulls everything together. Ancient people thought the whole world was derived from water. There's Sumerian myths that talk about all of the whole universe arising from water. There's another one I was going to tell you about. I forgot what that is. But ancient people thought that the whole world came from water. Thales, the Greek philosopher Thales, thought everything came from water. Fats, on the other hand, are responsible for more long-term effects in the body, especially around growth and repair and keeping the body functioning effectively under changing and stressful conditions. The skin is a classic example of a fatty component or a fatty system in the body. it's loaded with water, obviously. But it's bound water. It's trapped water. It's why you can't just drink more water and get rid of your dry skin. If it's not trapped or bound partially by the action of fats, you're going to have dry skin, no matter how much water you drink. That's why nobody's ever gotten rid of their dry skin by drinking more water. However, because so many of us have problems with fat processing, dry skin is very, very common. As statistics say, 4% or 5%, but it's really, in my experience, it's almost universal. Even kids have dry skin. Dry skin, think fats. Any skin problem, think fats. Eczema, psoriasis. Remember, fats, EFAs, get turned into activated EFAs, inflammatory and anti-inflammatory EFAs. So any skin issue, think fats. Skin cells, the skin itself is making steroid hormones. The skin cells are making cholesterol. Skin cells are actually literally processing testosterone and estrogen and cortisol. And there's a lot of topical steroid products that exploit this, that take advantage of this. Cortisol cream. Why do you think cortisol cream works? It duplicates, it mimics your skin's natural cortisol. So you put the cortisol cream on, the skin doesn't know that it didn't come from skin cells. It just sees cortisol and it reacts accordingly. Likewise, testosterone and estrogen. Estrogen cream, in particular, has been used for decades, really, as an anti-wrinkle product. We used to use estrogen in pharmacy. I would compound estrogen cream, and I used to get prescriptions for estrogen vaginal cream for women to put on their faces. The estrogen, the skin is very receptive to estrogen, and estrogen is involved in the growth of fibers and tissue, sometimes not in a good way. Fibroses are oftentimes have an estrogen component, but topically on your skin, you can stimulate the production of collagen fibers. So the skin is a part of the hormone system, very similar to the adrenal glands in a way, and the reproductive organs. If that's not a reason, the fact that the skin is making these hormones and processing fats and doing all of these things, if that's not a reason to be careful of the kind of skincare products you use, I don't know what is. You know, when most skincare products were invented, nobody even knew what a hormone was. That's right. When most skincare products were first developed, that was the turn of the 20th century, we didn't even know what hormones were. We certainly didn't know the skin was making hormones. We didn't know the skin was active. The skincare products we use today, the standard lotions and standard creams, these toxic concoctions of wax and oil and water and preservatives and fragrances, and nothing, very little anyway, that does anything positive for your skin, the only reason they're acceptable and the only reason they're in the marketplace is because companies have been built around producing these things cheaply and making lots of money doing it. But from a health perspective, when you think about all the things the skin is doing with hormones, with protection, with processing things, with making fats, all the activity going on the skin, despite its still appearance, its inert appearance, is a dynamic, powerful functional system. And if that's not a reason to be very respectful of slathering stuff on your skin, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make sense. That's why I created The Truth. When I needed skincare, when I wanted something on my skin, you think I used that crap? I never put that stuff on. I went right to the lab. I went right to the shelf where the ingredients were, the active and functional ingredients were. I used them straight. I didn't put any preservative on my face. I wasn't going to put any perfume or waxes or silicons. And you shouldn't have to either. And that's why I did The Truth. Anyway, it's not supposed to be a commercial here. It's just saying, be respectful of what we put on our skin. Love our skin. Preservatives and fragrances, by the way, are particularly disruptive to the hormone system of the body. They're endocrine disruptors, they call them. Preservatives, specifically the parabens, which are used less and less because of that problem, but all preservatives have a certain disrupting effect, and certainly fragrances do. One of those toxic places in the universe is the shower gel place in the mall. I don't want to say in the universe, but it's a pretty darn toxic place. And I forgot what they call it, Bath and Body Works or something like that. You walk past it in the mall, and in Victoria's Secret too. You walk past it in the mall, and you get this big hit of poison. I can only imagine. I never go in there, but I can only imagine the kind of poison fumes that are emanating from those perfumes in those places. Anyway, we're talking protection, and when it comes to protection, melatonin is the fat-protecting, non-essential nutrient supplement. And there's another one that's very similar to melatonin, but it's a vitamin. I'll tell you what that is.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
All right, we are back on the bright side. Thanks for joining us. 844-236-6010 is our number, 844-236-6010. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you have skincare questions about ingredients or about skin health issues, 844-236-6010 is our number on the bright side. If you want to purchase any of our Truth Treatment products, head over to truthtreatments.com. You can order products right off the website. Take a specially long look at the retinol 5% gel. You are not going to see that product anywhere. Highest retinol you'll see anywhere is 2%, and that's rare. Usually it's around 0.1, 0.2, 0.3%. That's not going to do anything. You need to have a big old jolt of retinol. The thing about the Truth Retinol Gel, what makes it so special is, in addition to the 5%, or along with the 5%, you get no irritation. No redness. Well, you get a little redness maybe if you overuse it, but you don't really get irritation like you do with Retin A and retinol. That's because there's no crap in there. It's all good stuff. All right, truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com, and if you want to purchase any of the longevity products or join the Brightside Ben team, head over to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Okay, so we're talking about the skin as a fatty part of the body. We've been talking about melatonin, and if you've been listening to this program the last couple of days, you know that melatonin is a lot more than just a sleep aid. Melatonin is an all-around anti-aging supplement, and a cheap one, an effective one that you can get in the health food store. Melatonin is a general all-around anti-aging supplement, but it's especially important for fat protection. It protects fats. It stabilizes cell membranes. It lowers cholesterol and blood fats. It keeps cholesterol from oxidizing or going rancid. It keeps it from turning into oxycholesterol. It supports digestive health. It's important for the brain, for the nervous system. It protects nerve cells from damage. It helps relieve the pain of neuropathy. It's been used effectively for folks who have multiple sclerosis. It can help you keep your hair strong and healthy. And, of course, melatonin, the word mela comes from melanin. Melatonin is a pigment-regulating hormone. So it's got wonderful skin anti-aging benefits. It's involved with helping the skin utilize and protect itself from light, from ultraviolet light, from sunlight. And this gives it anti-skin cancer properties. How much more do you want from a supplement? This is amazing stuff for $5 for a 3-month supply. Lots of damage to the skin is caused by the effects of the sun and ultraviolet radiation. You can think of melatonin as a sun-protecting hormone. You can use it topically. You can use it to make your own sun protection spray. Dissolve some melatonin in water, open up a capsule, put it in water, and make yourself a sun protection spray. Add it to your favorite cream or lotion. Make it a sun-protecting cream or lotion, not in a toxic SPF way. And make no mistake about it, SPF chemicals are toxic. There's no getting around that. Melatonin doesn't work in this toxic SPF kind of way. It works in a nutritional, healthful, antioxidant kind of way. Antioxidants are the best ways to protect yourself from the skin. That's how the divine force, that's how God wants us protected from the sun, not slathering on poison. That's silly. That's drug mentality. That's pharmaco-medical mentality. Let's slather on the poison. The way you protect yourself from the sun is by making sure you're getting the right nutrients. Melatonin gets its sun protection properties, sun protection or sun detoxifying benefits or features from the amino acid tryptophan. Tryptophan is a precursor to melatonin. Tryptophan is like a plant. It's a natural sunscreen for plants. Tryptophan is like a sunscreen. That's its role in plants. It's part of the... tryptophan is a plant's natural sunscreen. It actually senses and reacts to light. It transforms light into usable matter in plants via the most miraculous chemical process ever, which is called photosynthesis, where the sun gets turned into matter. How the heck that happens? That's pure miracle. The sun gets turned into physical matter. We're all made, literally, of the sun. Sit with that one for a while. We are all the light of the world. We are all made from the sun via the action of tryptophan, which is in the plant as part of the photosynthesis, as part of the process of photosynthesis. It's a plant's natural sunscreen as well. Using 5-HTP supplements, which is a type of tryptophan, or even straight tryptophan, can help protect you from the sun. Again, this is how we're supposed to be protected from the sun, by good nutrition. Eat your tryptophan foods, high-protein foods, meat, fish, eggs, dairy, whey, seeds, if you're a vegetarian, nuts, beans, legumes, especially soy. These are all natural plant sources, or natural sources of tryptophan. But I digress. Melatonin is really what it's about when it comes to, really what we're talking about when it comes to protecting the skin naturally without using topical or toxic sun protecting ingredients. But melatonin does tons more. You get the same benefits from melatonin, at least some melatonin's fat protecting benefits. Remember, think fat protection when you think melatonin. You get the same kind of fat protection benefits from my all-time favorite vitamin, one of, I guess, and that's vitamin E. Vitamin E has many of the clinical and therapeutic effects that melatonin does. Very similar in terms of its effects. That's because vitamin E, like melatonin, is a fat protection vitamin. And if we're talking skin here, remember this is all about the skin. And the skin is very receptive to fatty substances, and fat deficiencies and problems with lack of fatty vitamins. Vitamin E is very difficult to get from foods, so most people are going to be deficient in vitamin E because most people aren't supplementing. Vitamin E has a lot of the same fat protection clinical benefits for the skin that melatonin does. It's a skin anti-aging vitamin in the same way that vitamin E protects oils and essential fatty acids and the outside part of cells. It's also going to protect the skin. Vitamin E is always going to be found in high-end or most essential fatty acid products, including the longevity, EFAs and EFA+. I use vitamin E in the lab when I'm making a skincare product. If you put oils in a skincare product, and I tried to stay away from oils, but every once in a while I would have to use one if I was formulating for somebody else or filling a prescription, you have to put fat protection molecules, antioxidants, fat antioxidants in your skincare product. The most common one is something called BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene. BHT, toluene. BHT is not necessarily toxic. It may or may not be. Some folks don't think it is, but some folks do. But toluene certainly is. Anyway, BHT is found in bread. Anywhere where there's grains or grain oils, you'll see BHT. I didn't like working with BHT, so I use vitamin E. Vitamin E is just as good as BHT when it comes to protecting oils and fats. Look for vitamin E in your skincare product if you're using a standard cream or lotion. Vitamin E also plays a major role, like melatonin, in the brain and in the nervous system. Vitamin E is one of an Alzheimer's patient's best friends. In fact, all fats for Alzheimer's patients. Alzheimer's disease is tragic on so many levels. It's tragic because of the people who have to care for the Alzheimer's patient. It's tragic because you're actually seeing somebody, but they're not really there, especially in its full-blown dementia. But it's ultimately the most tragic aspect of Alzheimer's disease is that it is so unnecessary, especially flare-ups or especially progressive. If you get it because you didn't know what you were doing, that's one thing. But once you know you have it or you're on the way to getting it, you could take all kinds of protective measures to slow down the progression, to keep it from progressing. All kinds of them. And one of the most important is vitamin E. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll continue when we come back from our break and take your phone calls as well. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side. My friend Noelia sent me a study here. I hadn't seen this. Melatonin attenuates sepsis-induced brain injury via activation of epigenetic systems. Sepsis is a big, big problem, and I suspect very, very underappreciated. Sepsis is dirty blood. Doctors will tell you if you have sepsis, it's life-threatening, and they're right, because they're referring to bacterial sepsis, which is a dirty blood condition caused by poisons from bacteria. But you can have subclinical sepsis. Dirty blood. In fact, most people do have subclinical sepsis, especially if they have a degenerative health issue. That's what I was talking about before we went to break, about Alzheimer's disease. If you have Alzheimer's or you know somebody who has Alzheimer's, please understand, the progression can be halted. If there's damage, you may not have, if you're elderly, you may not have time to repair the damage, but certainly you can halt the damage, You can certainly halt the progression by, number one, keeping your sugar intake down. Anybody who's dealing with dementia or any psychotic issues, like any kind of brain health issues, psychoses, kinds of things, dementias, Alzheimer's disease is now known as type 3 diabetes. I've been telling you this for years. Alzheimer's disease is a blood sugar issue. It's part of something called metabolic syndrome. We're going to talk about that next week because there's nutrients that you can take to stop metabolic syndrome. Now, technically, they're not going to tell you that it's part of metabolic syndrome, but it is. Metabolic syndrome is all the different ways sugar messes us up, and one of the major ways it does is in our brain. And if you have Alzheimer's disease, you got diabetes, type 3 diabetes they call it, but it's a blood sugar problem. So that's the first thing you do. Next thing you do is liquid nutrients, lots of them, especially the B vitamins. We've often told the story about Ted Anderson and his dad, who's on, he had Alzheimer's, and this is when Ted first started hearing about Ted Anderson from GCN, owns the network. When I first met him, we were talking about his dad. His dad had Alzheimer's disease, and Ted didn't know anything about nutrition. Told him about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the B vitamins. Well, surprise, surprise, his dad started to improve when he got on the B vitamins, when he got on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I've seen this so many times. So Alzheimer's disease, think vitamin E. Think B complex. Think sugar retention, and think vitamin E. Vitamin E is one of the most important vitamins when it comes to all brain health issues. Vitamin E can be thought of, at least varieties or forms of it, as a type of learning aid, nootropic agent they call it. Vitamin E is just a stupendously valuable vitamin, but very unusual vitamin. As I said earlier, it's not found in a lot of foods, vitamin E. And vitamin E also is not really utilized by chemistry in the body. It's more like a protector. It is a protector. It's not more like a protector. It protects things. It's not utilized for chemistry the way the B vitamins are. It's not a cofactor. It's a protecting element. It's an antioxidant. It protects fats like melatonin. We'll talk a lot about vitamin E. We'll talk about topical vitamin E. One of the best ways to protect yourself from the sun. Topical vitamin E as well as taking vitamin E internally. We'll do that next week as we continue talking skin health on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to our first phone call of the day. Andre. I think we talked to Andre yesterday. What's up, Andre? You had the thyroid issue, right?
Morning. Yeah, but you know what? It's funny. Yesterday after I talked to you, I went home and I checked on my record on my doctor, and I was diagnosed in 2012 with the low thyroid. And then another doctor was writing it down that it was high thyroid. So I'm confused.
Well, it could go either way. Sometimes it's low, sometimes it's high. That's so much for medical diagnoses there. Here's the thing. The thyroid is very, 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 very responsive to what's happening in the body. It goes up and down based on what's happening in the body. When I say the body, I mean the blood. So like all things, like all issues, it's a blood issue. Nothing gets into the thyroid, nothing affects the thyroid unless it's in the blood. Does that make sense? Now, it's true about a lot of things, but because the thyroid is designed to be responsive, it's a regulatory system, it's regulating things based on the environment, it's super sensitive to what's in the blood. So you got a blood problem. So you got to ask yourself, okay, how do things get in my blood? Well, you're not sticking them in your veins, so you're eating it. All right? It's a food issue. You want to link the foods to changes in thyroid function. Now, you also have to work on digestive health for a lot of reasons. Number one, if your digestive system is not working, well, first of all, things are going to leak into the blood. That's one reason why you want to work on the digestive system, to keep things from leaking into the blood. So you got to patch up the gut. I'll tell you a few things to do here in a second. But the second reason why you want to work on the gut is because you're not going to absorb nutrients if your digestive lining and the cells of the digestive system are messed up. So that's the second reason to work on the gut. And the third reason to work on the gut when you have a thyroid problem is because probiotics, good bacteria, are involved in turning thyroid hormone on. The gut regulates the thyroid, and the thyroid then regulates the gut. So there's all these reasons why you want to, when I say the gut, I mean the intestine. what you want, there's all of these reasons for when you have a thyroid problem. Everybody listening, okay, because hypothyroidism is a major, major health issue. Major, major, major. Maybe the most important of all health issues. Broda Barnes wrote a book called The Hidden Cause of All Illness, and I think that's the name of it. I always forget the name, but his name is Broda Barnes, and he hypothesized that everything, all illness, was related to the thyroid. And he's right. It is. It's the jumping off point. But the thyroid itself is dependent on the digestive tract. Okay, so work on the digestive system first. Hashimoto's and Graves' disease are the two major causes of hyper and hypothyroidism. Hypo and hyperthyroidism are autoimmune diseases, which also is a food problem. So here's what you do for thyroid. All right. If you and by the way,
if I can say something real quick, I'm also now having Graves' disease.
You also what?
Because I have the Graves' disease.
Yes, I know. I told you that yesterday. And you said, no, you didn't. Graves' disease, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the names. Your diagnosis doesn't matter. Okay? The name doesn't matter as far as reversing this thing goes. So here's the deal. Graves' disease, by the way, is just an autoimmune disease of the thyroid, and it causes the thyroid to go crazy. Okay? So here's what you do. Patch up the gut with soothing mucilaginous gummy substances. That's the first move. And that means the Fucoid Z, algae products, seaweed, cartilage, anything gummy, noni, aloe, anything that kind of has a gummy, kind of mucilaginous quality to it. Glucosamine can help you there too, as well as gelatin. Glucogel caps have both. That's number one. Okay. Number two, get on a nightly essence and use a lot of them. And in conjunction with the nightly essence, you want to be eating fermented food, as much as whatever you can find, especially veggies. And in conjunction with that, you want to be drinking veggie juices. All of this is in the interest of getting the fiber and the probiotics and the nitrates to help support the health of the gut, the microbiome specifically, gut bacteria. You might want to get a book called The Art of Fermentation, which I've talked about a lot on this program. Yeah. That's a real cool book. Just get any books on fermentation. There's another one called Wild Fermentation. Those are two good books on fermentation. It's very easy to make your own sauerkraut and miso and tempeh and kimchi, etc. All right. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you're getting lots of liquid nutrients, especially the electrical nutrients, especially the B vitamins, and that means you're beyond tangy tangerine. In fact, I'd be doing the whole Healthy Start Pack if I were you. That way you'll get your essential fatty acids, which are also important for the thyroid. Okay? And then, last but most certainly not least, make sure you're keeping your sugar intake down. The thyroid will go nuts, especially if you have Graves' disease. If you get a big old burst of sugar, nothing will make the thyroid go more crazier than sugar, especially if you're just drinking soda pop or something that gets the sugar into the system real quick. Also, food allergens. Hang tight. I'll finish up when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Okie dokie. We are talking to Andre, I believe. Lost my little list here. Andre in California? Is that Andre? Do we have Andre?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. All right, so everything we were just talking about, before we went to break, I want to tell you about eliminating problem foods. Food allergens can cause a spark in thyroid activity. So keeping food allergens out, do a food diary, eliminate problem foods, focus on the digestive tract, blood sugar, and when you really go into, you want to practice deep breathing all the time, but when your thyroid is really starting to freak out, when you're getting the hot flashes and your blood pressure's going up and all that other stuff, you want to calm the body down with deep breathing, slow, deep breathing. In through the nose, out through the nose, 15 seconds in, 15 seconds out, and then maybe 2 or 3 minutes of that. Okay?
What do you have to do? What do you have to breathe out through your nose? Can you just breathe out through your mouth?
Well, hang on. Let me just say, I forgot one thing. Don't forget about iodine, too. Iodine's not curative for the thyroid, but if you're hyperthyroid, you're going to be burning through iodine. So you may run into iodine deficiency. So make sure you're doing some iodine also. Either Lugol solution or iodoral or the nascent iodine. Breathing out through the nose is very interesting because there's resistance in the nose that is not in the mouth, and that resistance activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation nervous system. So you want to feel that resistance as you're breathing out. You can actually do it.
That's why I feel it. That's why I didn't really want to do it. I was actually deep breathing, but exhaling through the mouth.
No, you want to activate the nerves in the nose, the parasympathetic, the relaxation nerves in the nose, and resistance does that. Okay?
Should I avoid fruit? Should I avoid fruit because of the sugar?
Fruit you got to be careful with. Definitely avoid fruit juice. But fruits, you have to be careful with it. Smaller fruits, berries, and kinds of things, those are probably good for you. But don't go crazy with them. Okay?
I appreciate that.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Take care, Andre. God bless, man. Good luck.
Right.
Okay, Rob in Nevada's been holding on forever here. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
Good, Ben. Hey, love your show. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Hey, let's just get into this real quick. Mid-40s. How do we build our testosterone and HGH naturally?
Great question, because you've got all these testosterone supplements, which are a waste of money, especially if they're in a capsule. If they're in a capsule, what they do is, or pill, what they do is they put a trace of this and a trace of that, okay? Or they'll get a study that says that, some article that says that they tested this herb and it boosted testosterone or something along those lines. Baloney. Don't fall for it. Here's how you build testosterone. The first thing is stay away from sugar. Sugar is for getting fat and for getting lazy and for being domesticated. You understand? Testosterone is your primal hormone. This is why guys want it. It's a primal hormone. It makes you masculine. Sugar is domesticating. Does that make sense, Rob? This is why there's sugar everywhere. You know why the government subsidizes sugar? To domesticate us. We're domesticated through sugar. We're domesticated through bread. We're domesticated through grains. Staying away from that stuff is the best thing you could do to boost your testosterone. And the next best thing is you want to start to take in micronutrients that help the body make testosterone. And there's lots of them, and most of us are deficient in them. Zinc is probably the most important. And I've said this, I probably say it on every show, or at least every other show. 50 milligrams zinc picolinate. It's a must-have nutritional supplement. You're not going to get zinc from foods, great amounts of it. Vitamin E can help too, by the way. All your fatty nutrients are important for building testosterone, especially essential fatty acids, especially omega-3 essential fatty acids, but they're both important. So make sure you're using your ultimate EFAs. The B complex is unspeakably important for all hormones, especially vitamin B5. Pantothenic acid, which is a very underappreciated vitamin. So making sure you're using vitamin B5. Also, you might want to try estrogen inhibitors, aromatase inhibitors, I should say, that keep your body from making estrogen. Testosterone is converted into the female hormone estrogen. So using what they call aromatase inhibitors, something like chrysin, CHRYSIN, might be helpful for you. There's also another one called Tribulus, DIM, I3C. These are ways that you can keep testosterone from converting into estrogen. And they're not necessarily essential nutrients. So making sure you're on your Healthy Start Pack, getting your Mighty 90 essential nutrients. Magnesium is also important. And then resistance training. Make sure you're using resistance training and combining whey protein with your resistance training. The combination of whey protein with your resistance training is a wonderful way to build muscle, which in turn will stimulate testosterone production. Likewise, creatine supplements. A couple other miscellaneous ones. Arginine, amino acid arginine, is very important. These are all for building muscle, which will help testosterone production. Arginine probably boosts testosterone on its own. Glutamine also will help you build muscle. And then there's one more I was going to tell you about, which I totally forgot. But those are a bunch of great strategies there for you. Most important, though, is keep your body fat low and keep your sugar intake down. Female hormone is made in body fat. I call this the Santa Claus effect. As our testosterone drops, as men's testosterone drops, they become fat and jolly. You know what I'm saying? The stereotype, the fat, jolly old man, that's a sign of estrogen superseding testosterone, and we don't want to be there. All right?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you very much.
Good deal.
Real quick, my mom's got a broken ankle, and she's got a complex regional pain syndrome. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's inflammation around the nerve. All the things we just talked about. Oh, by the way, melatonin. That was the one thing I was thinking of before. Make sure you're getting your melatonin for testosterone building. And all the things we just talked about. Everything we just talked about. All the nutrients keeping your sugar down, zinc, magnesium, protein. She might want to throw in gelatin and the glucosamine capsules, or also high hyaluronic acid capsules. Those are important for bone building. EFAs. Everything we've just talked about. It's an inflammatory condition around the break. All right, I'm going to motivate here, Rob. Thanks so much. God bless you, buddy. Good luck. All right, Dave in California. What's up? How you doing, man?
Hey, thanks for all you do again, Ben.
Thank you, David. What's going on?
All right, I just wanted to know about dandruff. What for it?
Dandruff is a oily skin condition. People think it's a dry skin condition. It's actually a sign of oily skin. And It's usually associated with oily skin and acne. They call it seborrheic. Sometimes they'll call it seborrhea, which is a word for a lot of sebum produced. In any case, selenium, zinc, all the skin nutrients. Dandruff is a skin condition. What you're seeing with dandruff is you're seeing, under ordinary circumstances, our skin cells, whether they're on our scalp or whether they're on our face or anywhere, are dropping off one by one. So you don't see them because they're microscopic. When you have dandruff, the cells are not dropping off one by one because they're sticky. It's a fat condition. The oils are making them sticky. The changes in fats are making these cells sticky, so they come off in flakes. A dandruff flake is made up of a bunch of skin cells that under ordinary healthy circumstances you wouldn't see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they're sticky. So you want to think about the stickiness, the oiliness, the fattiness. So focus on fats and fatty nutrients. Vitamin E, vitamin A, 20,000 IU of vitamin A, 400 IU of vitamin E. All your essential fatty acids, fat absorption, fat metabolism, correct digestive problems. One of the biggest reasons why we don't process our fats is because of dysbiosis, messed up gut bacteria. So using probiotics and all the things we just talked about for keeping the gut healthy, the intestine healthy. And then the minerals zinc and selenium are particularly important. In fact, Head & Shoulders dandruff shampoo is made with zinc, and Selsun Blue, the other best-selling dandruff shampoo, is made with selenium, because zinc and selenium are important for dandruff, anti-dandruff. Now, we've used them in pharmacy. We've used zinc and selenium topically for dandruff, but it's not really a topical problem. It's an internal problem. So using your ultimate selenium and using your zinc picolinate are other strategies as well. All the things you do for acne, you're going to do for dandruff and acne tend to go together. All right? Okay.
So topical things aren't really worth it.
For getting rid of the flakes, you don't want the flakes to come off in the middle of a party, you know what I'm saying? So getting, or work, so you want to get rid of the flakes, and you may get some benefits from topical, like Head & Shoulders or something like that, but the problem, of course, then is if there's you're disrupting the flakes, so they may be caught in your hair, so you have to be really careful about that, too. It's an internal condition. That's the way to look at it. Okay? All right, buddy. Sir. Thank you, David. Take care, man. All right, Stephen in California. We got lots of calls from California today. What's going on, Stephen? How you doing?
Good morning, sir, and thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I have a friend who is 64 years old, probably weighs about 175, 180, been diagnosed and being treated for a blood cancer called myeloma.
Okay. All right. That's that's a serious cancer. Any kind of cancers in the blood are very serious, obviously, because the blood goes everywhere. So with all cancers, you got to clean the blood, but especially if you have blood cancer. That means you've got to be extremely careful what you eat, and the less food you eat, the better off you're going to be. Now, we talked yesterday a little bit about the kind of paradox between people losing weight when they're when they have cancer and needing to gain weight, so they think they got to eat a lot of calories. No, you want to be utilizing the calories you're eating, and that means micronutrients. You want to be getting more bang for your buck. Steve, I'm out of time. It's a very big subject, but basically you're talking about cleaning the blood using all the strategies we talk about here. Oxygenating the blood can help. You may want to consider hydrogen peroxide injectable. It's not really, you're past the point of nutrition for reversing the cancer, but you can use nutrition to help improve the way the guy feels, improve his energy levels, etc. And that's important, the Healthy Start Pack in that case. If you want more specific information, call back on Monday and we'll take you first up. I'm sorry, Steve, we just got to go. We're out of time. All right, thanks for listening to The Bright Side, friends. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have yourselves a wonderful, awesome, beautiful, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.